Rule 303 here. Let's talk a little bit about the German M42 combat helmet, or more specifically, this one. So this helmet is one, it was actually the first proper kind of fully not relic German helmet that I bought in my collection several years ago now. I bought some relic helmets that were really in a pretty terrible state, and sometimes restored them and sometimes kept them as they were. But I really wanted to start off my collection by buying the kind of best workhorse helmet that I could. So really what I was going for was the best I could afford with the money that I got at the time. And this M42 came up for sale, and it's all completely original. It's got the remnants of camo paint on it. You can't see that very well in this light, I'm afraid, but there is some camo paint remnants on it. It's in the original kind of dark, late war dark green colour that they came out of the factory. And the liner is fully original, as you can see. When I got this helmet, there was actually still mud under the liner. So at some point or other, I would imagine this helmet has laid in the mud for a short while before being picked up. I can only imagine it might have been a war souvenir trophy, perhaps. I mean, who knows after all these years. There are some little spots of staining here, which I've been told are potentially blood stains. I don't know how true that is. It could be oil, it could be a whole number of different things. It is quite hard. When these liners get stained with blood, they become really brittle, and it has got that kind of brittle feel to it. So I don't know, maybe that's the unfortunate results of the horror of war, I guess. But there's no two ways about it. This helmet is completely original. The liner is actually quite supple still, just beginning to go a little bit hard. I'm very reluctant to treat it with anything. Please don't ever treat your liners. Mainly what you'll end up doing is depreciating the value and obviously taking away from the originality of the item. People often say, well, how do you store these helmets? What do you do? Just store them in a cool, dry environment. Basically, that's all you have to do. Resist the temptation to oil them. Don't oil them. Try and keep them looking as good as they originally once were. You know, don't try and turn them into something that they're not. That, you know, they are what they are. They're over 80 years old, a lot of these helmets. So don't ruin them, and don't ruin the history. All of the things that should be right with this helmet are correct. So the liner pins here are still really nice and tight. Everything is as it should be. It's sort of pretty much unmolested helmet we've got here. So the M42 helmet was the actual main workhorse helmet of the German Army and the German Air Force as well, and the Navy, the Kriegsmarine, through the last 3 years of the war, hence M42. There's quite a few, well, you could talk forever about what an M42 helmet is, but basically the vents here are just pressed into the actual construction of the helmet. There's no separate parts there. There's no, originally these were kind of riveted in separately on the M35s. That's not the case on these. It's just part of the construction. They're just punched out. The edge of the helmet is raw edge, so that edge there is actually quite sharp. It's not beveled over or sort of you know, finished particularly well. It is just what it is, really. If you look at it from the other side, you can see that there's actually like a little bit of a lip on that skirt there. That's a distinctive feature of the M42. Earlier helmets actually have a rolled edge there. It's rolled over, and then it was, I think in a lot of cases, hand hammered all the way around, and that's obviously quite a labor intensive process. So that was dismissed with on the M42s. Obviously we're into M42 territory. 1942, the war's in full swing. You know, the USAF and the RAF bombing the hell out of Germany. Now, German production actually continued pretty well until the end of the war, despite the railway marshalling yards being hit, the factories themselves being hit. The Germans were really inventive with how they carried on their production. So what you will see is some really late examples of this. Now, you can't necessarily trust lot numbers, but the lot number for this is 4384. And this is catalogued as a no-decal German helmet, most probably issued to the Heer or the German Army, HEER. This particular one was actually found in Normandy. It was produced in Berlin sometime in 1944, and then obviously part of the war machine, out to Normandy it went. and that's where it stayed for the rest of its life until I purchased it and got it sent over here to me in the UK. As you can see, it's a really nice example. It's not an uncommon helmet. These are to a penny, but what makes it a little bit more desirable is it's not been messed with. It is original, and that's a key factor with these helmets. You want them to be original and unmolested, and that's what really makes this, for me, a great helmet. German helmets are becoming more desirable. There's a big collector market out there. There's loads and loads of websites and Facebook pages, and some of these helmets are attracting absolutely ridiculous money, particularly ones like this that are unmolested. So they also make really good items to keep as not just as parts of a collection, but also as an investment. Always try and keep as much provenance with the helmet as you possibly can. So where you bought it from, if they can remember where they had it from, whether it was a vet bring back, whether it was, it came from Sandy Boutique in Europe, whatever. Try and keep all of the provenance for whatever you buy. It's really important that you do that, because us collectors, we love a bit of provenance. That being said, always buy the helmet. Hello, cat. Come say hello. Always buy the helmet or the item, never the story behind it. So I did a video a little while ago where I'd managed to, through some research and speaking to people and contacting Bundesarchiv and different organisations, worked out that a helmet that I got was actually a Knight's Cross winner's helmet. And some people disputed that, but I've got the provenance to be able to suggest it was. That particular helmet is a really good value part of my collection. This helmet, I don't know who wore it, whether it was a flak helper, whether it was some guy in a tank, whether it was a foot soldier or a machine gunner, some bloke unloading trucks, the baker, the guy in the field kitchen, I have no idea. But for me, that's what makes it so damned interesting. It could have been worn by anyone. Anyway, here we go. I'm rambling again. Rule 303, going off on one. So please, if you want to buy one of these helmets, give it some thought. Do your research. There's some really good books out there that you can read. Try and invest in them. They're not cheap, because most of them have got big old colour plates in them, which are dead useful for helmet recognition. That being said, do your research. Go on the internet, talk to collectors. Most of them, you'll find, like me, are pretty friendly and willing to help. And remember, there's always something to learn. So before you part with your hard-earned money on some helmet that you think is too good to be true, get it checked out. Do your research, make sure that what you're buying isn't a complete sack of crap, because your money's hard earned. All right, this helmet is a great starting point. A standard M42 combat helmet in good condition is a great piece of history to have in your collection, and usually for most collectors fairly affordable. So consider getting an M42 in your collection as a kind of starter German helmet. If you've enjoyed this video, like I said, like it, share it, and subscribe. That would be really helpful for me. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.